Well, I said earlier on that we were going to look ahead a little bit. So I want to do that, but I want to start by mentioning the past. And I've now been at 10 for a couple of years. And during that time, I have spent quite a lot of time reading and listening to people who have been part of Euroevangelism as was and 10 as is for many years. And it's a wonderful history. It's an amazing story of pioneers fueled by God's Holy Spirit, going out and serving those in Europe, in Eastern Europe primarily, but other places as well. And, facing the challenges of communism and war and seeing churches planted, empowering leaders, taking risks and being part of God's plans for the continent of Europe. It's a story of heroes. And many of those heroes are still connected with 10 now, and some of them may be on the webinar tonight, and we honor those people. And some of them continue to serve quietly in the background. I'm so thankful for those people, and also myself and the team perhaps at times feel slightly daunted by standing on their shoulders, as it were. But as I look ahead, I want to say that I'm really excited and enthused about what God has got in store for 10 in the years to come. Because as I began to think about strategy and talk to our partners, talk to trustees and staff and listen to people, God was speaking to me and saying, we need to be telling a new story, inspired by the past, but telling a new story. Because that new story will involve, and it already is involving, new pioneers, as well as some have been connected for a long time. It's a story that needs to look different as we face the new challenges. The vision, of course, remains to empower Christians and see transformation in Eastern Europe, 100%. The heart remains that the gospel is the power to change and transform lives. But that no longer requires we smuggle Bibles in or dodge war zones. Economically and socially, Europe is developing. And there are different challenges now. Perhaps there are political challenges, issues of poverty. I remember being struck by a village in Romania where there was one tap for this Roma community. Poverty remains a big challenge in parts of Eastern Europe. There are marginalized groups like the Roma. There's a strengthening Islam in some nations. There are the challenges of migration and refugees. The world has changed. Mission in the West has changed as well. Mission agencies or organizations are no longer the font of all knowledge, and that's a good thing. And they're no longer the source of all resources. In the world of Christian ministry for our partners, there are the challenges of raising a new generation of leaders. I remember Slavko and I talking about this when we met a long time ago, it feels like now, before COVID. There are the challenges of financially sustaining ministries and leading through these difficult times. The UK church itself, of course, faces challenges, and an organisation like 10 has to adapt to those things. We are in a difficult time. And there are many in a younger generation who desperately want to change the world and make a difference, but perhaps don't have the resources that an older generation does. But we are called to be a people of hope, aren't we? I hope you agree with that. And as a people of hope, we want to live that out. We want to tell a new story. We want to be inspired by the past, but we want to look to the future. Our vision, as I said, always remains to see empowered Christians sharing the gospel and lives transformed. And we see that through our partners as they have their ministries of compassion and they're showing Christ's love, as they have their ministries of evangelism and they're sharing the gospel of love, and as they have their discipleship and church planting and they're growing disciples in God's love. And so as we look forward, we've got a couple of key themes that I would just want to highlight with you tonight. And just a reminder, that if you've got any questions about any of this, feel free to put it in the Q&A. Two of the key themes as we look forward are and they won't probably surprise you. One, we want to strengthen and deepen partner relationships. You know, our partners are the heartbeat of the organization. They are the heroes. And we want to focus on those relationships and develop them, and also look to develop new relationships. And I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. Secondly, 10 has a UK ministry, and we see it in the churches in the UK that we connect with Eastern Europe. We see it in the teams that were going out prior to COVID-19, and as will go out once again. Meg, who you met at the beginning, I think, Meg, you told me once that you'd been out about 27 times to Romania on teams, and that's just awesome. We love teams. They're a great way, aren't they, of infusing a real heart for mission in this country. And so we want to create new opportunities for Christians in this country to have a heart and a head for mission. So just going to talk to you a little bit about how 10 is and will be looking to strengthen connections with our partners. Now, first thing to say is Ken Millwood's our partners officer, and he does a great job of this. So we're going to continue doing the good stuff we do already, you know, and that includes the campaigns that many of you support. That includes the regular funds that go out and enable our partners to do the ministries they do. That continues things like the magazine and the communications, but we want to build on those things. And so here's a few ways that we're going to look to do that. I was in Moldova in October 2019, and Sergei Mihailov, who some of you may remember from our conference in April 2019, told me a story about churches in Sweden who they are connected with. And there came a point where the churches in Sweden asked Sergei and his team to teach them how to run an art therapy project in their community. And so Beginning of Life, the project in Chisinau, Moldova, taught a Swedish church how to do ministry in Sweden. And I love that story, and it's stuck with me ever since, because I love the idea that East and West are serving one another, teaching one another. You know, we in Britain can learn so much from our brothers and sisters in Eastern Europe. And you'll know this if you've been abroad, because if you've ever been on a trip of mission, you go out often thinking you've got so much to give, but you come back knowing you've gained so much more. And we want to encourage that approach and that philosophy and build that with our partners. I was chatting to a partner the other day, and you'll find out a little bit more about this project in a moment, but he's looking to set up a business, and he said his dream is to actually one day be giving to 10. To be funding mission in Eastern Europe as an Eastern European church. And I love that heart and that vision. Beyond that, we're going to be doing a few key things in developing our partner relationships. One of the things that Ken and I have been working on is really clearly defining what it means to be a 10 partner. We have lots of relationships, and of course you can imagine in a network like this one that some of those are fantastic and some of those are perhaps less strong. And so we want to be really clear what it means to be a 10 partner. And so we are in the process now of inviting our partners to sign up if they want to really be a 10 partner. And there are real clarity over what the responsibilities are of 10 and a partner of 10 in that relationship. And the reason we're doing that is because it helps us really invest in those relationships if we really know who our partners are going forward. But alongside that, we recognize there's a place within our network, within the 10 family, for perhaps people who don't need 10 in quite the same way that others do. Or a place for those who we're just getting to know, potential partners. And so we're creating 10 members as another category of connection over the next year or so. And we're really excited about this because, again, a key part of what we want to do as 10 is intentionally look for new partners, maybe even in new countries, and make new connections. And so to do that, we need to think about how we do that. And this is one of the ways we're going to be doing that. Just to say, looking for new partners isn't something that will be new. In the last year, we've had a great new connection. You may have seen an article about Robert in Radovish. It's a mining town, a church planted out of the church in Štip, North Macedonia, by Robert. As a leader trained by Petra Petrov to go and do that. And we're connecting with Robert and supporting what he's doing. And it's just fantastic to be building this new connection. In Albania in the last year, we've worked with a new connection called Artur Tushi. He's been connected with 10 for a little while, but in the last year, we've helped and worked with an agency in the States as well to resource the purchase of a church building there, all during COVID. And it's just fantastic to be making these new connections. And we're going to be seeking God to guide us as we look to make other new connections too. Key in this is our relationships with ISTL, the International School of Theology and Learning in Tirana, Albania, but also the Bible schools in other nations like Kosovo and Romania that we're connected with. And those relationships are key because those are the training places. Those are where these new leaders are being equipped. And so we're really excited about that too. Something else we're going to be doing is we're going to be establishing a partners advisory group. And I'm really passionate that we more clearly hear the voice of our partners. That's what relationship is all about. We hear one another's voices. And so we're in the process right now of putting into place a group of people who will speak to the board and to myself, once or twice a year, and so that we can hear at a strategic level what's going on and what 10 needs to be responding to. Because I believe God speaks through his people. And so we need to be hearing more clearly the voices of our partners. But partner involvement in our work is not just at that level, it's at all levels. In organising events and conferences, as we do from time to time, we are talking to partners about what they want, about what they need. In developing new resources, even for this country, we are talking to our partners. And as I've already mentioned, I think we are including them in our team meetings. We want to raise the voice of our partners. We want to encourage that two-way circular relationship of East and West coming together. I mentioned earlier that one of the challenges for our partners is financial sustainability and building that. And I am really encouraged by some great examples of some of our partners who are already doing an amazing job of raising resources in country. You saw the video from Kosovo a moment ago, and the folks there have 5 second-hand shops that fund over 90% of their ministry. And I just think that is an awesome approach to sustaining ministry over the long haul. And it's fantastic. It's making a difference and they're changing lives and they're not dependent on Western money. But the support that you give, that 10 sends out, enables them to do over and above, to do more than they might be able to do otherwise. Another example is the Rainbow Rehab Centre run by Danny and Vera Kuryani, who some of you I'm sure will know and certainly know of. And you're going to be seeing a short video from one of the guys who's been in the rehab in a moment. But it's just a fantastic project where they have a couple of small businesses that 10 has helped support over the last couple of years, buying new vehicles. One for a removals business that the guys in the rehab help run. Not only is it great for developing them on their road to recovery, but it also helps resource the ministry. And so we want to, listen to that, and having listened to that, we want to, where partners want us to, we want to be able to support them to continue to grow their ministries and the sustainability of those so that the gospel can continue to go out in their nations. So we're going to be doing a few things over the next year, including hopefully a whole webinar conference on sustainability, and you will hear about that, and maybe that's something of interest. So if it is, do get in touch. We're also going to be looking at how we grant fund some of these projects, and we're really excited that we're about to enter our first opportunity to send a loan out to a partner who's starting a business, and that's super exciting, and you'll be hearing a little bit from that partner on a video a little bit later. Finally, when it comes to looking at our partners, we really believe that God's put the Roma on our heart, the Roma communities. And actually, it was interesting. I was looking back through some old paperwork at 10 not too long ago, and I found lots of references to the Roma going back a number of years. So they've always been front and center for 10. And we want to continue that as an organization. They are Europe's most marginalized group. And I think they are the group that Jesus is calling us to engage with, to support our partners in reaching. And the thing is, God is doing amazing things among Roma communities. There's revival breaking out. Pastor Gavril, who's one of our partners in Western Romania, has had about 60 baptisms in the last couple of years. I don't know, do you know of any churches that have had 60 baptisms in the last couple of years? I think that is absolutely awesome. So these are some of the ways we're going to be developing partners and supporting our partners over the next few years. The second thing I mentioned was about inspiring and equipping mission-focused Christians in the UK. That's a really important part of what we do, because it's the participation of individuals like you who pray, who give, who go, people like Meg who go and do the summer camps, that enables our partners, that is key in empowering and enabling our partners. So we will continue to develop church partnerships. We'll see teams getting back on the road, hopefully, once lockdown finishes and travel is once again that bit safer. But we also want to encourage new participation, and super encouraging to Melanie, who's our supporter relations officer, and I, is the number of new connections, the new participants, if you like, in the ministry of 10 over the last couple of years. We've been super encouraged, even in the last week, which is just fantastic. And so, let me encourage you tonight. If anything you hear makes you think, hey, I want to be involved in that, please get in touch with us. We also recognize that there's a challenge and an opportunity to engage younger generations as well as all generations. And so we want to make sure that we create opportunities for a younger generation to engage. And so hopefully over the next few years, you will see that younger people are also getting involved at various levels of the organization. And it's great to have two new trustees. Meg, you've met, and Nicoletta is another of our new trustees as well, who's recently joined us. But people you won't see are some of the people who write for us and do social media. So we're grateful for those getting involved as well. We're going to be looking for new ways for churches to connect. Yes, we have church partnerships, but we always realize that there's opportunities for new gateways. And something that is in development at the moment is a 6-session resource. It's a Bible study resource for small groups, home groups, cell groups, youth groups. And that's going to be a resource that's going to be made available to anyone who wants to equip their church for mission. And the unique thing about it, the hope is that actually as part of the sessions, you will actually be linked with a group in Eastern Europe. So we're really excited about that as a gateway to new connections. And, if you want to know more about that, again, get in touch. Now, I've said a lot of things there, and this is being recorded. So if you want a copy, you can rewatch it. If you want more information, you can get in touch directly. But underpinning all of this stuff is what I said at the beginning, that we have a deep desire through compassion evangelism and discipleship and church planting to see people's lives changed, to share the gospel and, just empower Christians in Europe to serve God as he calls them to. Inspired by an older story, we want to be part of telling a new story that God is putting on the hearts of our partners. Now, 10 only exists because of your participation, our partners' engagement, and the team and the trustees. It's a big family. And I've heard that word used a lot about 10, and I see it. And so I just want to encourage you tonight to prayerfully consider your own involvement. And maybe there are ways you can develop your own involvement, because you're probably already engaged if you're here tonight in some way. And if you are, again, thank you. But I wonder if something's sparked in you tonight. I wonder if the Holy Spirit might have just nudged you, prompted you. Well, perhaps over the next few days, I can encourage you to contemplate that nudge, as it were, and see where it goes. Just as an example of how God can use someone's availability. A couple of years ago, a guy called Nick Clark came to us to get involved in what Ten was doing. He ended up going out to Moldova, and as a result of that, was asked by the church there to do some English lessons. And off the back of that, Nick has been out several times and supported the church in their outreach through teaching English. And of course, lockdown hits, travel's no longer possible. I think Nick just got out of Moldova just in time, and when it did hit. But what was amazing was, although immediately things were stopped, the spark of God's creativity got to work, and online teaching became a possibility. And so now Nick is supporting that church in Moldova, and a range of churches actually, to teach English as they reach out to their communities. And off the back of that, Nick is working with Melanie to establish 10 Teach. Again, you may have read about it in the magazine, the latest issue, which we are super excited about. But the reason I tell you that is because all Nick did was make himself available to God. And now he, working with Mel, is championing this new initiative, and we're really excited by it. Thank you for being part of 10 and playing your part. We really appreciate your support, and may God bless you as we come out of this strange time, as we continue to trust the God who sends us to go and make disciples in all the world.